Muchas gracias, thank you. I will extend what I did in the morning. And what I was basically going to do is I'll go through the agenda. But I know everybody has had a tough day. It's been a busy day. And there's been no table to reach and lean on. So go ahead and just do that little stretch. Right? So this is good. Second one is little cobra. Okay. That's a good one. You twist your back a little bit for flexibility. So I told Wally that the next time I come to Panama and there is a conference like Web Congress 2017, or if he does a workshop, either the evening of the event or the day before, we'll do a real yoga class. So I say this because if you think about it, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I do yoga, and you know, they want to make their yoga place famous or anything like that. But the idea is, we work in an office, and sometimes when you work in an office, we all get tired. And we work because we want to have fun and we want to enjoy life. And so if we can mix up the yoga practice with what we are doing here, it helps out quite a lot. You probably also know now that I love what I do, so I do what I love a lot, which leaves very little time for other things. But I'll tell you what my life is. It's a lot of fun. I get to teach where I want to teach. I travel in different parts of the world. I sleep 3-4 hours every night, and then one day in a week I'll sleep for 7 or 8 hours, you know, then come right back. But the reason I've been able to do a lot of this is because, yes, I push my body, but my body knows me now, and yoga has helped me figure out a whole bunch of stuff along those lines. So it's been very good. We'll go right into today's program. I wanted to go and give you some basic thoughts to think about. So basically, if you are to sell a hat today, a cap, if you want to sell a paper cup, and somebody tells you, you need to take this product to the market, or if the next Cabify comes, or if somebody owns a company that makes apps, and they tell you are responsible to market those products to someone, well, we immediately start thinking, how do you find the right consumer? Remember we said strategy? How do I know more about that particular consumer? And basically, what do I do to keep growing the business? So we will do this, but I also remind people that it is not just digital that makes a big difference. I could look somewhere else and everybody thinks she did it, but that's okay. So one thing that is really interesting in the world of digital is when you travel on an airline. About 12 years ago, Delta Airlines in America, they put kiosks. And I used to work for a company called NCR. NCR is the ATM company where you go and you take out ATM cash. Or they have kiosks. And NCR and Delta, they opened champagne and they cheered. And somebody at NCR told somebody at Delta that these kiosks are going to replace agents. So we're not going to have desk agents, we're going to have machines. And the lady at Delta got very upset. And she told the NCR guy that we will develop a kiosk that will replace your kiosk. And the kiosk that has replaced the NCR kiosk is the phone. But I want to tell you that today we depend on that phone for so much. It's my airline ticket, right? It has what it is, it has flight alerts, it has lots of things. I will tell you what is good about it and what is bad about it, because it makes sense in this environment. So many times when I'm flying back home, I live in a small city. I have to go through Atlanta. I reach Atlanta, and all of a sudden, I get an alert from the app. And the app tells me that my gate is not AR32, it is C16. So I go running up to Alexandra and I say, Alexandra, has my flight changed? And poor Alexandra, she takes out a piece of paper, she opens it up and she says, no. So I show her my app. And she said, okay, let me go log in. And she logs in and she says, you're right, your gate has changed. Delta made for 1 whole year, the employees look stupid. And that was not good. But today, the Delta employee has their own phone, they get their own alerts, and it's important to tell your employees first, because your employees can then tell your other people. So it's good to have the alerts up on your website. So there is a data breach, there is a problem, people are going to pick up the phone and call. So we'll talk about that. But really, the way I look at it is like last night when we were planning for this event, I was talking to a young lady here, Carolina. And Carolina was telling me that we're having a problem with Cabify because Cabify will only start working at 7:30 in the morning. I don't know if some of you saw that. And I have to send an email out to a group of people. Well, we could do it with email. Like we can send out an email to a bunch of people. I can get a message out to a lot of people. So many times I tell brands that don't fight and don't say this is my channel, this is my channel. Let us try to figure out what channel works the best for the customer. Thank you. Gracias. So now, one other thing I have learned. It's better?
Yeah.
Gracias. The thing that is interesting is that when I go to conferences, I actually go and I attend the conference too. I don't just sit outside and leave because I want to learn. But many times when I go to a conference, so for example, in 2 weeks I'm going to go to a conference in San Francisco. And when I go to there will be classes on branding, search, social media, email, all of these things. But really, if you're a small business, you're going to do all these things yourself for that one customer. Because you don't know, will it search work, will social media work? And so what I want you to think about is, how can I apply all of this together to get that consumer? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the fundamentals of conversion. We're going to talk about practical ROI. I told you I've taken examples from champions that we will discuss. But I also want you to remember one thing. All this that I talked about in the morning, and this, it's in slides that are there. So it's very simple. You will have access to all of this. So when you make your notes, think beyond what is written out here. Don't worry about copying something that is already published, because I will make that available to everybody. We will close today by coming up with 3 marketing strategies. We will pretend that we have a small business and you're going to market for that small business. Then I want you to be a little selfish and do your own marketing. And third, what we'll do is we will try to come up with a plan for your own brand. So if you're selling a financial institution, a travel agency, a magazine, a restaurant, we'll think about how you apply that. One thing I tell everybody when I go and do it, I tell you that, please try this. And you say, oh no, this can't work because that department does this department does this. Because we always think the grass is greener on the other side, right? It's easy at the other place. So I tell my friends that if you want to create a strategy, first think about creating a strategy for some other brand. And then see, could you apply some of those principles back? It is much easier to do it that way. It works in the long run. So we'll go through this. And as we go through this, remember in the morning that we talked about the 5 principles? So basically, I told you about birds, that find the right birds, know your birds, get the birds to tell the other birds. So your first 3 principles are, you are using social media to find the right type of people. You want to make noise and you want to tell people, I want to find you. Second, I want to know a little more about you. And there are 3 ways I know more about you. One is, I ask you, and you tell me. I speak English, I only want $60. I only eat vegetarian food, or I eat this. I like coffee, I don't like tea. You get the preferences. The second type of preference is I watch you. And I watch what you click on. I watch what links you go to, what white paper you download. And the way I do this, I cheat sometimes, because what happens is, we do email marketing. And the first 5 email campaigns I'm going to send Diego, I'm going to see what is he clicking on. And based on what he clicks on, I make a profile about him that he's maybe interested in these things. You can track, so that's one thing. The third one, to know preferences, is to do it like Amazon. Amazon says that everybody that bought this also bought this. So we are making assumptions that people who buy toothpaste might be interested in a toothbrush. People who buy French cuff shirts are interested in cufflinks. People who go on vacation at a particular time every year, well, you need to remind them to do that. So I have a friend, he works for a company called Venus Swimwear. How many of you know of Venus Swimwear? Well, I'll tell the guys in the room, you need to see Venus Swimwear. But Venus started with swimsuits. They have now turned into clothing, because why would not the woman who looks good, comfortable enough in a swimsuit from Venus Swimwear, not want to buy their other clothes? They have opened up. Think about it. In the US, Dunkin' Donuts and all, they used to only serve coffee and donuts. Now they serve breakfast, lunch, dinner, different snacks. You don't want to lose upon those opportunities. So, if you want to know more, it's about asking people, it's about observing what they like, and the third aspect is, can you make assumptions that people who like this product might also like this product? So that's the third one. Fourth principle is about return on investment. Nobody does social media just for the heck of doing social media. In the beginning, it looks really cool. So you remember the US elections. So I think a lot of you are interested all over the world on what is going on as far as the US elections are concerned. And I'll give you my opinion also of those in a minute. But one of the things is that when Obama ran for president, he was competing with Hillary Clinton many years ago. And he beat Hillary by just a little bit. But the reason he beat Hillary was he had something called the Obama girl. Remember the video of this woman? And he got lots and lots of people interested in that. Now, a lot of times what happens is that we look at it and we say, oh, I'm just going to get an Obama girl, or I want to hit a home run, or I want to score a goal in soccer. We can't have, maybe we are lucky, and that will happen, but that is not part of the plan. So we will talk about return on investment. But the most important thing you can do is you can train your employees. So many years ago, I had the opportunity to do marketing for a movie company, not like Netflix, but like Redbox. There was a company that used to have kiosks, and I used to rent movies. Now, honestly, I know a few movies, and I like a few movies, and I have seen the movie Godfather about 100 plus times, but I don't know much about movies. So what did I start doing? Is I started asking my customers, hey, what did you like about this movie? And then I made you the brand champion for the Muppets. I made you the brand champion for Chariots of Fire. And I started getting my ambassadors to do stuff. The idea is, let's come up with a plan to train your employees and channels. Because your customer will say, oh, I want to talk to someone only if I need to talk to someone. That happens a lot. Think about it. Many years ago, banks put ATMs in different parts of the world because they said, all these tasks of getting money, I don't want to have a person do that job. I want a machine to do that job so the person can have an intelligent conversation with the consumer. And so, good people used to go to people, and people used to go use the machine. Today, most people use the smartphone, and the smarter people tend to use the smartphone. So the idea is, how can we train our channels? So
if there is one thing you walk away from today's workshop, if you are asked to come up with a digital strategy for anybody, these are the 5 steps. Find, know, get people to share, look at ROI, and what do you do to train your people channel and your other channels? Because that's what ultimately drives your success. So how do you measure ROI in terms of this? I have 3 simple measures. Number 1 is engagement. So I'll give you examples of engagement. The number of Twitter followers I have today is 100, so next month my goal should be I want it at 120, 160, I want to be on par, I want to grow, I want to measure growth. I want my following to go up on Facebook, LinkedIn, things along those lines. I get 3 comments a week, I want my comments to go up to 5 comments a week, 7 comments a week. I want it to go up. So I come up with specific measures of engagement to try and improve how things work. There's an Indian bank, and it's kind of funny, I have to come to Panama to tell you the story about India as an American. But this bank is called ICICI Bank, Industrial Commercial Investment Corporation of India. Okay, it's a mouthful. Many years ago, they started with 7,000 likes, 9 years ago on Facebook, 8 years ago on Facebook. If you go and look at them today, they are nearing 5 million. And an average post, 1 post a week, has about 85, 90,000 likes, 3,000 shares, and about 600 to 700 comments. That's good engagement. I'll go through the formula of what they're doing. My second aspect is, can I reduce the cost? So for example, if I'm going to use social media, I should be able to tell you that I did not have to do this or I did not have to do that, and I start justifying my money, saying that I've spent so much money. And I know when I started doing social media for brands in America, I would try to tell my friends to ask their boss for money to justify. They said, well, how much money should I ask for? I said, every week, I want you to do one marketing task that you used another channel for, and basically say, I'm going to do it on social media. And I want you to take that, say, $3,000, $300, $400, and then tell them that there's 20 other tasks that are there, and this is how you put your budget together. And basically, you build out a budget like that. And so I would prorate and come up with a budget, and somebody would say, oh, I see. So if I invest about $30,000 a year in social media, I will save $200,000. You come up with the numbers, because I start showing people ad spend and things along those lines. The third thing is increased revenue. So I'll give you 2 examples. A lot of us think that financial services is boring. So I'll start with the boring example first. What happens is that a lot of times, banks host workshops and conferences with you to tell you how you should retire. Because you don't say, I'm going to retire tomorrow, and then you don't go to the bank and say, hey, can I retire? You have to plan many years in advance. And the sooner you can work with your bank, the better it is. So if the bank hosts a workshop on retirement, one of my friends, he ran marketing for a bank in Texas. And what we did is, 1 month, he forgot to run an ad in the newspaper. And he forgot to do a bunch of things in traditional marketing. So we just ran it online, and we showed how much money we saved. That was the first thing. But then what we did is, because of running that workshop, we had 37 people that came in and applied for counseling for financial services, and we converted 14 of those people. So we got them there. That's increased revenues, attributable revenue that came because of that. I want to track it. Birds. One day I wrote an article because I learned, do you know how you can avoid insects? Those mosquitoes and all in your backyard? By bats. You know what bats are? Those evil things that are actually harmless. Thank you, gracias. Basically what ends up happening is, so I wrote an article on how you can get an insect-free backyard. And the way you can get an insect-free backyard is if you can have bats live in your backyard. But bats are scared. And bats are, their blood flows the other way around. So you need a birdhouse with hooks so the bat can hang upside down. So we wrote this one article. And because of writing that one article, we sold more bat houses than we do in an entire year because of that one article. So if your magazine writes an article, if your bank writes an article on a particular thing, let's start tracking and seeing, did it happen because of what you did at that article? And essentially, these are your tips in terms of what you want to do to take the next step further. Now, when you create content, we're all trying to make our stuff look good and sexy and nice. This morning I talked about chicken tikka masala. I want a good headline. Mango chutney, right? You make mangoes are beautiful, you add chutney, and you take some cilantro and you mix it with mangoes, it comes out really good. But what I did is, I needed a good headline. So I called it Decadent Mango Chutney. I gave it a name. My second principle is feature, function, benefit. This is the feature, here is what it does, and here is the benefit for you. And then what do I want you to do after that? What is the call to action? So when you write your action content, it's basically you come up with headline, feature, function, benefit, call to action. In the morning I talked about coming up with a strategy to tie ties. I had conversations with people in the audience, and I basically said, there were people from the telecommunications company out here. I don't know where you're sitting, but one of the things I suggested is, people call up the phone company and say, I cannot connect to the internet, what's wrong? And they say, well, you need to do this. My bill has gone up by so much. Am I going to be charged for 3 days? Am I going to, why did my calls go down? The thing is, start taking a look at your most frequently asked questions and turn it into headline, feature, function, benefit, and call to action. Now, if I write an article on mango chutney, I can put multiple headlines. I can call it Decadent Mango Chutney, I could call it Mango Jam, I could say what to eat with chicken curry, I could call it Mango Salsa, I can give it lots of names. So the idea is, when you have the same content, look for different ways to headline it, because this is what is going to make your job easier, because your consumer can find it for you. I saw somebody in the room earlier who was wearing an American Eagle shirt. How many of you have bought American Eagle or looked at American Eagle's website, right? So one thing I learned from American Eagle is every month they do an analysis of the words people are doing search online and they did not get any results. So you look for the words that people are trying to find stuff and they could not find anything. That means people are searching for words that you have not thought about. And so now American Eagle, in the beginning they used to do a search marketing strategy. Today they do a strategy to basically try and come up with natural search words, because they don't want to spend money on the click, because many times that consumer is suspicious. My grandfather also used to do the same thing. He said, if I click on the ad, that ad will follow me everywhere, and the consumers know that. And you want to be careful along those lines. So at the bird company, this is birds kissing, this is not the others, okay? Why do cardinals kiss? What we used to do is, every month we used to have a contest. And the contest we used to give away... Okay. It's not Donald Trump, we know that. So one of the things we started doing is we started looking at things like, rather than giving a Starbucks card to people, we started asking questions like, why do cardinals kiss? Do birds that eat bees ever get stung? What weighs more, bird feathers or bird bones? What is the only bird that does not walk? What bird makes the figure 8? And people who are interested in birds will answer those questions. And we will eliminate some of the ones that we don't need. And that is the thinking that you want to use. So in case you want to see why cardinals kiss, when the red bird, the male, hermano, takes the seed and puts it in the mujer's mouth, that is called a kissing cardinal. But when you Google why do cardinals kiss, you will actually see an article that I wrote on my blog that showed up. Why? Because it has all the magic, right? It has the words, and it has people pointing to it, and it has backlinks and all of that, and that is what you want to try and strive and do with this stuff. Commonly asked questions. We know our brand better than other people, so we know the questions to ask, but it's good to see what our customers are doing so we can take things next steps with that. So yes, Duncraft does a great job. They have year-round deals. Enter your email address. The site has, lots and lots of stuff that they give out to people. The cardinal is their big word. They'll, run all kinds of specials. And I told you what they do with the images. So this image, again, from Duncraft, this is the other image, this month's calendar. Last year, Duncraft spent $16,000 paying photographers money to go and take pictures of birds. They paid money for models. These pictures are not by photographers who are professional. These are their customers who take pictures. And one of the things you can do is you need to come up with your privacy policy that basically says that, Senor, Senora, Senorita, if you would be so kind and share your experience about my brand with us, take your picture, share it with us, and would you allow us to put it up on our social media site? You've got their permission. Preempt it, put it into your privacy policy so people start giving you that content, and people like to show off and say, oh look, my content is up on this restaurant site, my content is up on this bank site, this magazine site, things along those lines. What this brand has started doing now is they're basically trying their best to do complete social selling. So one of the things they've started doing is that we've come up with this idea, we call it birds and blooms. And what we are doing is we're basically saying that if you buy flowers and you buy bird material from us, we will do our best to educate you on everything about it so you can give it on to somebody else. So something I did is I went and I spoke at a conference with real estate agents. Agents that do sell real estate. And what I did with these real estate agents is I told them, take gifts from Duncraft and give it to your clients. So you need to find ways that who all your brand is connected to so you can take the next step. So they have a blog, they write a lot of information, they ask questions, their customers participate, they thank their customers to participate in that type of stuff. They use Instagram a lot. If you look at the quality of the pictures on Instagram, it is absolutely amazing. Again, Pinterest does a lot for them. So you've got this. You look at the quality of what all is being done, but everything has a reason that these guys are doing it. I want to bring up something I started telling you earlier and I forgot to finish that statement. And basically, I talked about when I did marketing for that movie company. One of the things I did with the movie company was I would talk about what movies to watch, what you want to come and rent, things along those lines. One big problem with kiosk marketing is that it is not live streaming. I have to make sure that I have CDs in my box that I can rent out to you. So I have to actually create. So what I have to do is I have to create a feeling that people want to transact with my brand, and I have to create interest so people want to go and buy that particular product and service. You have to figure out a way to get your inner circle involved, people that work with you, because that makes a big difference. So what I used to do, why I had 64 segments, is I would put out a campaign to my inner circle and I would ask them for suggestions and I would ask them to share it with other people. So I let my premier class customers know about products and services before I take it out to someone else. Let's switch to Amazon. You've been looking at what's going on with Amazon. We all credit Amazon for a couple of things. One is, honestly, Amazon has done a very, very good job of delivering a product to you. In fact, in the US, in many cities, they're delivering same day. They're giving you guarantees within 2 hours where they're delivering a product to you. My son and my nephew, they buy groceries from Amazon, they get next day delivery. Toothpaste, toothbrush, shoes, all kinds of products. Walmart was stupid. Walmart was basically allowing, till 4 years ago, Amazon to sell the Kindle from the store. And the consumer could take the Kindle and they could order products directly from Amazon. But one thing Amazon does well is they've got the back-end logistics down perfect. But the other thing that Amazon does really well is Amazon has authentic reviews where consumers write about it. Now, I want to tell you about bad reviews first, and then we'll look at Amazon's reviews. When I worked at Blockbuster Express, my boss wanted everybody to know that Blockbuster Express, his tagline is make every night your movie night at Blockbuster Express. Make every night your movie night at Blockbuster Express. So the first few words in Google were always saying that. And then after that, what we used to do was we used to say stuff like 2 for 1, or we have a coupon for this and a coupon for that. Nobody would read the rest of the stuff. And the reviews, they did not look real. If you go and read the reviews at Amazon, you will notice they look real because they're real people that start asking real questions. So a suggestion I make to you is that you need to consider coming up with a way where if you had your customer in front of you, can your customer honestly tell you what your brand stands for, and you apply this thing from Amazon, the principle of trying to get that content, and then try to figure out, can you get it in 2 to 3 lines? Because that is what keeps people engaged. There is a company called It's Just Lunch. How many of you have heard about a company called It's Just Lunch? You went on a date with them too? Okay. So It's Just Lunch. It's a dating service. So they say it's just lunch. You set up. So one of the problems that It's Just Lunch was having was they were giving out coupons to people, free drinks or free appetizers, and people were signing up. So instead of that, we started a thing that basically said, what are 7 mistakes guys make on their first date? And all of a sudden, we have more than 1,500 mistakes that people are writing about. And it's not just mistakes that guys make, but they were talking about girls' mistakes and this and that. One of the biggest mistakes they were basically saying was, hi Liz, how are you? Oh, sorry, Liz, wrong name. They're talking to the wrong person. Or, how are you doing? Oh, fine. And your head bobs here and there. The idea again is, It's Just Lunch started saying that if I want somebody to go on a date with someone else, I want the information to be authentic. So what can you do to make the information authentic? And that's basically what you drive with what's happening at Amazon. The other thing with Amazon that they do really well is they take you from place to place to place. They're trying to open up a lot. There is a store in the US called Anthropology. Have you shopped at Anthropology? You're familiar with them? Okay? Now, I'll tell you good and bad about Anthropology. Anthropology sells stuff from where I come from, India, and sometimes I spend $80 to $100 on something that I know for sure in India costs $4, $5, $6, $7, maybe $10. There's a big markup in terms of what they do. But if you go into an Anthropology store, the manager is allowed to arrange the store however he or she likes. So they keep changing it. It looks different because the idea is it's supposed to draw you in. And so here is what we need to think about in our websites. Is yes, we want to make it easy for our customer. And we want to show them that you buy this product, here are the related products, the related accessories. But also we want them to drink or to dream big, to move to another part, to take things further from there. This makes it very factual. So again, if you start collecting reviews and you put percentages, that makes the analytical person, it makes their job really easy. This morning I talked about an article, my grandfather. He used to read the headlines first. And then like him, there's lots of people. What they do is they go and they see what are the most popular articles? What are the most popular products? We conduct a survey. We asked you. You told us. You answered. People want to know those types of things. And that is the information that you want to do and highlight. The other thing is, you always want to get your customer to say stuff about you. And so give them an opportunity. Hotels, today, many of them do a very poor job. They don't ask you, how was your trip? On the other hand, my airline, Delta says, one of the surveys they do is at the end of a phone call. They say, if you owned a customer service business, would you hire the last person you spoke to? Simple question. You want to keep it as easy and simple as possible. So I also have a lot of people who tell me, no, you need lots of questions. I tell people, honestly, you can have lots of questions and you can fool your customer and think that you're doing all this research. But lots of times we say that, was this department okay? Was this department okay? Was shipping okay? Was merchandising okay? And stuff like that. Instead of that, I just want to ask you 3 questions or 2 questions. Can you rank my product or service? 1 to 5. Can you rank my service? 1 to 5. So product, service. And the third one is, ask them a question. Why do cardinals kiss? So I used to do this, but then I switched it. I started putting the text box question on the top. Why? Because if I asked you, rank my product, you ranked it. Rank my service, you ranked it. And then I gave you a text box, you didn't fill out the text box because you said, it's too long. Instead of that, start with the text box. Ask them a question. They answer the question, they get more engaged. How many ways can you tie a scarf? That's not mine. That was something we asked. And people started saying 9, 10, 11. And we said, okay, show me. Then we started featuring how they were saying to tie the scarf on the Ann Taylor website. And all of a sudden we said, wait a minute, we're not doing anything. We don't know how to tie a scarf. We started adding these in. Ann Taylor launched a bunch of scarves that were international. So again, it's a way to do research, but this is something you highlight as much as possible. And I also do this and recommend this as far as the post-purchase email is concerned. So again, you've got all of this stuff, you've got things. So this person had a problem. Their problem was listed. But the idea here again is, as a business, you have to address the problem. Now, if you're in banking, one of the problems in financial services is, you can't tell your customer, like, look, if you don't know how to use a card, or if you don't know your daily limit is $300 or $600, you're going to have that problem. Or sometimes, people buy a product from you, they don't use it properly, and they write something back. Unfortunately, we can't tell our customers that they are wrong. We have to acknowledge it, we have to show a process, and you need to make sure that you have a policy that addresses it, that you take it further. Have you shopped at overstock.com? Okay. For fun, I'll tell you that Overstock was started many years ago to compete with Amazon. Because, it was the same concept, except what they did was they said they'll collect these overstock items and they'll resell these overstock items to people. They do simple things like sign up for a 10% coupon, get 2% rewards on all your orders. And one of the reasons I bring this up is that consumers like rewards, cash back. So if you're a financial institution, you should think about coming up with a rewards card. Also, other brands, you use someone more often. You go to Subway, you buy 10 sandwiches, your 11th sandwich is free. If there are things like that you can do, so if you renew your subscription to a magazine for 12 months, I'll throw in 3 months free after that. These are things that work for consumers, and this is something that you ought to try. Overstock does a lot as far as marketing is concerned. They sell a whole bunch of products to their consumers. One of the challenges they face right now is they are trying to create an exclusive brand. Because they started off as, we're just a discount store. And so everybody thinks of them as just a discount store. And that is part of your brand value that you need to think about as you take it further. Now you normally don't see things like 12% off, 15% off, 13% off. Overstock has been playing with this because the consumer knows that they don't calculate that 12% of 120 is $14.40. Not everybody is Indian or Chinese, when they talk like that. But the thing is that they know 12% is more than 10%. So they say, okay, I store this coupon. It's a better coupon. So Overstock does the 10% off coupon as you saw earlier. But what they do is they will add this and say 12% off. And all of a sudden people think that's a phenomenal sale. It works for them. I'll talk a little bit about Wells Fargo. Now, I have a question. Do you compete with Wells Fargo in your market at all? You don't, right? And I will tell you on this table, everybody here, that Wells Fargo, it's a regular bank in the US. They're a big bank, they've been fined a lot of money because they've had problems, but they've also done very well. I want us to think about what all they have done to learn, and I'm going to go through some of the things that they have done. So they have sites that, they work very well, and the whole concept is, it's banking made easy. They talk about buying a car, refinancing a vehicle. They do different types of things like that. Simple stuff they list, step 1, step 2, step 3, because as a consumer, you want to know that banking is complicated, but we will uncomplicate it for you. Same principle applies to what you do as a brand as well. And if you take it further, I'll come back to that other slide. But if you go to Google, and I typed in the words, lower my car payment. So you will notice when I do lower my car payment, I have an ad from Wells Fargo right here. Car loans refinance from Wells Fargo. But I also have refinancing a car loan from Wells Fargo. I clicked on that one, and when I click on that one, it gives me this entire article. When I take a look at this article and I right-click on it, I see the tags that they're using. They're using words like, I'd like to buy you a drink, wine, bar, shot, whiskey. They're using the same words in different ways, but they're making it part of a natural conversation. So what Wells Fargo has done very well is they're trying their best to minimize their spend via social. They're trying their best to keep a tab on the competition because more and more search is being localized. And when your search is being localized, what you want to do is you want to find out how are your customers finding your product or service. And that is what you want to do. Take those keywords, and then using those keywords, what we do is we write up what's called these consumer journeys. So, one of the reasons I brought up banking and financial services is because in the world of banking, a bank can help you with getting a loan for a car, getting a loan for a home, getting a credit card, protecting you, investing for the future for your family. They can talk to you about their commitment to the community. They can talk to you about fraud, how to protect you from fraud. The idea is that in the banking world, there's about 200 consumer journeys, different types of consumer journeys, because you may be buying a new car, you may be refinancing a car, you may be doing different types of things like that. And what these banks have done is they have written out these consumer journeys. That's what Wells Fargo has done. Now what Wells Fargo is trying to do is they're trying to create these as multimedia, multi-channel consumer journeys. And that is the secret of what you want to try and do to improve how your own brand can market to people. So the idea you say is, okay, I sell a particular type of clothing. I sell wireless services. I sell business consulting. I sell a magazine. I sell these different things. But how do people find your product? And you basically are using this to write up those consumer journeys, because ultimately that's what is going to drive a lot of your social success. I go to a show in the US called clickz.com. clickz is originally search engine strategies. I also go to another two shows. One is search engine marketing, one is search engine watch. And they have these labs. And in the labs, they show regular consumers. They give them money and they ask them to search for products. And then we watch what consumers click on. Most of these consumers don't click on paid search. Because, let me ask you, how many of you click on paid search? So think about it. Our customers are not that much different. If they're buying right there, it's different. But what they like to see is they like to see how the content is published. Is it natural? Is it supported? And what would they do to take things further from there? Okay. I want to give you the example of Dillard's. Dillard's is a retailer. And by the way, so you know how I've structured this workshop. I'm going to go through some of these examples. I'm going to then go into the principles and then we'll summarize with the interactive exercise at the end because I also think this is a good way to retain. So Dillard's is like a department store. They do really well. They have done a good job as far as engagement is concerned with their consumers. They have two types of stores. They have physical stores and they have a digital store. The thing they do very, very well is Dillard's used to have a wedding registry. And in the wedding registry, when this young lady got married to her husband, they created a wedding registry and they said, these are all the gifts that we want to get. So she takes the list and she publishes it for her friends. Dillard's allows her to send an email to all her friends and family and say that we're getting married, here are the gifts that we want from you. So they start with that. But then what does Dillard's do? When they come back from their honeymoon, Dillard's sends them an email and says, here are the items you did not get yet. Come and get it from us. And they look at her and say, she probably will buy it full price. But when you see him, you'll see he likes discounts. He wears Indian beads, so that makes him one of my people, and we look for discounts. And so what if I give them a discount? But what Dillard's also now does is Dillard's knows all the products and services that you bought. So Dillard's even goes back to you and says, you bought fine china. Do you need more? Did you break any? Can I replace it? They try to create this lifetime of preferences. One of the other things Dillard's does is if you live within 30 miles of a Dillard's store, within 50 kilometers of a Dillard's store, Dillard's will send you a campaign one day before Mother's Day and say, go to the store and don't forget to pick up a gift for Mother and you can come right into the store to do it. So what Dillard's has done is Dillard's has number one acknowledged we have to sell a product to you, the consumer. You, the consumer, don't care what channel you buy it from. They want to also talk to you because you, the consumer, you're a little crooked. You say, I'll go, if I get a discount here, I'll go here. If I get a discount here, I'll go there. Dillard's understands that. Dillard's is trying to come up with loyalty. Dillard's is also taking all the ways you pay for a product or service and they're trying to group you into a household. So normally, like my household has 4 people. Papi, mommy, son and daughter, right? So Dillard's is trying to figure out, I have so many products and services, how do I create a profile for you? So when I used to go to Dillard's used to do what they used to create something called the ideal client profile. And they would go through this exercise that in the beginning I thought was stupid. I said, you just have to sell a product to a consumer. They said, no, we're not selling a product to a consumer. We're selling it to the wife and we're selling it to the husband. This is who they are. This is what they like. This is what they feel like. I saw the way Dillard's did that and I was very impressed in terms of what's going on. I think people are getting coffee. So I'll give you one suggestion. Let's go 5 minutes and then you guys can go grab coffee. There won't be any line. Okay? So we'll do it that way. Because I thought somebody would come and tell me that, go there. I wasn't sure. So anyway, Dillard's ideal client profile, that's one thing. There is one other brand that does a lot of ideal client profile creation, and that is Victoria's Secret. Victoria's Secret takes their client because every woman believes she has the right to be a Victoria's Secret angel. So if you see their marketing, what they have done is they create the ideal client is sitting inside a drawer. And they come up with the types of products and services that that particular person wants. Does this mean that we need to break? Because Wally, what we're going to do is a 5 minutes. So that's perfect. We'll do that. So good, you can see me sweat because this is my sport. I play this. I like to do this and I want to take this thing further. So, lessons from Dillard's. Number 1, ideal client profile. Number 2, preferences. They know stuff about your consumer. And what Dillard's does is many times they'll say, okay, we're going to give you $1,000 shopping spree. A lot of us, we give away gifts, right? But Dillard's says, tell me, if you won the $1,000 shopping spree, what would you want to buy? So you create your own personal wish list. And what you've done is you've told Dillard's, these are the products and services that are good for you. So there's a men's clothing company. Other than this, the rest of the products are from them. It's called Paul Frederick. And one of the things Paul does is Paul sends an email out to you. And he tells you, thank you for buying that shirt from me. Here's 15 other shirts. Can you rank these shirts from 1 to 5? Which ones you like? So their customers go out and they rank 4s, 3s, 5s, etc. And Paul now knows which product to sell you next. There's a company called Rugman. They sell carpets. And what they do, they're a little sneaky, but it's a smart sneak. They take what you put in your abandoned shopping cart and they try to get you to shop again. And then what happens is, you don't shop again from Rugman. 6 weeks later, you get an email from Rugman that tells you about the 3 most popular and exotic rugs. And guess what? One of those rugs is the one that you put in your shopping cart. So you look at it and you say, oh, that's what it is. And you basically take that thing further. I'll tell you one thing, I put makeup out here because, and it could not have planned it better because, we were putting makeup in the class here. But the idea with makeup is, I learned so much about makeup that red is not red. There are so many shades of red. And, it's like yesterday I went to the mall where there's the Hooters and the animals in Hardwood Mall. And that lady told me I needed to buy a sarong. And I told that lady, I said, I've been married for 26 years, and I know one thing, that if she buys it, it's bueno. And if I buy it, she's going to say, what did you pick up from there? I never recommend to a guy to buy makeup, intimate apparel, or clothing for their spouse. Flowers, they're easy. Gift cards are easy. Again, it's where you take the stuff next further. The one thing we started doing at Dillard's is when I am shipping your product back to you, I send you an email or I contact you by phone and I say, hey, I'm sending you a box. I have 10 samples. I'm going to send you 3. Tell me which 3 you want. That's a nice way to get a dialogue connected with your customer. So what you're doing is you're basically trying to take that relationship and you're trying to take it a little further. So you take this thing and you build upon it even more. All right, let us break for 7 minutes and just kind of come in. We'll be informal as we start and then we'll just continue down. I will go through B2B examples, some more B2C examples, and then what we will do is we'll get into the exercises as well. Gracias, please. Be my guest. Who have no idea what's going on, but that's okay. But what Wani told me to do is he said there is one more workshop after this, so he asked me to hurry things up a little bit. I have the material, it's all ready. So I will do 2 things. I want to be fair to the other speaker, so I'm not taking away their time. I will answer 3 questions that were asked of me, and I will make my presentation on those 3 questions because I think that is very relevant. and I will show you the material that I have because I want you to apply it back to how you do it at your own business. And whether you sit this side or that side, you're not going to confuse me. So I know that. Don't worry. So as far as B2B is concerned, one of the best B2B newsletters, social media sites is McKinsey. McKinsey they sell intelligence, and the reason I asked you to look at McKinsey is because it is relevant to what we do. They give you strategy, ideas, newsletters. They do a very, very good job as far as marketing is concerned. One of the things, sorry, somebody says, okay. McKinsey, one of the things that McKinsey does really well is they tell you every month what are the top articles to read, and at the end of every quarter they tell you what were the most read articles, which basically you're telling your customers, these are our top selling products, and then 3 or 4 months later, you're going back to them and saying these are our most popular products all over again. My own blog that I have articles on, I will write an article. It'll be the most popular article, and then at the end of the month, I'll tell people which were the most popular articles, which are the articles that were already read, yet people read those articles again. So highlight your bestsellers, and your customers need help in understanding what those bestsellers are. McKinsey does podcasts, lots and lots of podcasts. They do webinars. I have a company that I work with, I've given advice to. They sell gardening equipment. They teach you how to grow tomatoes, cauliflower, how to get rid of beetles on your flowers. We do webinars. People love the webinars. The first webinar we did, we had 30 people sign up. The reason we only had 30 people sign up is we invited 100 people. Imagine 30% of people signing up for a webinar. And all 30 people who signed up bought products from us. So now what we did is we have 1,000 people that participate in a webinar, and at the end of that, we make more sales on that for a B2C brand that drives value. No problem. King Arthur Flour, highlight your champions. So one of the things that King Arthur Flour does is they have a lady who is a master chef. So this is PJ Hamill. They write about her. You're praising PJ Hamill. When you go to a bar and you try to tell somebody I'm great, it doesn't sound as good as somebody else says you're great. That's PJ Hamill's strategy. They try to promote who PJ Hamill is, what PJ Hamill brings to the table. She writes articles, she does a good job. Pictures. Lots and lots of pictures. They tell you about tips, etc. that they put out. They also have a name for their social media program. How many of you have a name for your social media program? How many of you have a name for your digital marketing program? One mistake we make, we say, oh, we have an email blast. Can you imagine telling your customer, I want you to sign up for the email blast? It doesn't sound good. So King Arthur Flour calls it flourish, like flour, and nourish, flourish. Many banks, they have words like making sense, saving money, going green. You want to try and brand it because that way when you're talking to your customer or prospect, you say, have you signed up for making sense? No, I don't know what that is. These are the 3 things, and you basically try to drive additional value there. The other thing is that many times, customers don't know how to become designers. So, Rooms to Go. Are you familiar with that brand? Many times what Rooms to Go says is put a bed here, put a couch here, do this, do that. These are designs. So what this brand does is they sell how to create a butterfly garden. So they create all of this and they say number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. What you're trying to do is you're making your customer feel like they're an expert. And so now somebody else asks your customer, how do you do this? They say, oh, there's an expert. These guys taught me how to do that. And that's what you want to try and drive towards. I covered this slide in the morning about the fish, but what I want you to do is realize, look at the amount of people that are active on these social media channels. I pulled these statistics as of last week. The one many marketers have still not figured out how to use is WhatsApp. But I'll tell you that in countries like India, in Latin America, WhatsApp is what is used to communicate and message to the consumers. So you have to now figure out that that's the way you can get the word out to as many people as possible. Tips on Facebook. So what I have done is, Ronnie told me I really have 10 minutes. I thought he was joking, but I do have only 10 minutes. But on each one of these slides, I have tips on how to use Facebook for the front end and for the back end. But let me summarize and give you an idea of how I use Facebook versus Twitter. Facebook is where I call you to my house to eat chicken tikka masala. I tell you, have a seat, we have a conversation, I give you a little vino, we talk, we nurture the conversation. That is Facebook. Twitter is if I live in an apartment in New York City and I say, hashtag chicken tikka masala, hashtag chicken tikka masala. I'm making noise and I'm trying to draw people in. So I say this because you want to think about push, Twitter, pull, Facebook, nurture. Yes, you can make noise on Facebook and you can make nurture on Twitter as well. But when you think about this, think about coming to my house to eat a meal. You heard about it in one of two ways. You were either there and you were eating the food, or Sundeep was making noise. So one thing I suggest is think about your search words when I showed you the Wells Fargo example, and start making noise with the right hashtags for those words, because that is what is going to drive the results. Back-end research, Google does a lot of stuff. Anybody knows what Google stuff is? Okay, there is nothing like Google stuff. But anytime Google comes up with something, I go out and I open an account with that because I want my brand to show up once again on whatever Google is doing. Because Google makes sure that people who are subscribed to that show up over there. So that's important. Twitter is where it's crisp, clean, concise. You want to grab the attention, you want to index the content, you want to do A/B testing. I have friends who do email marketing campaigns, tests on Twitter. They take 3 subject lines, they put it out on Twitter, and they ask their customers to say which one should they use. And then what they do is, after the campaign, they tell you which campaign won. So you're extending the life of the campaign. When you get this presentation, I want you to click on these links, because every one of these links I have hyperlinked to some learning for you. And this is the campaign that was Keep India Clean. This lady represents, she's a beautiful actress. She represents the goddess of wealth. She did not accept $1 for this campaign. There is no TV advertising for this campaign, yet there are so many million people in India that have watched this again and again and again, and they're sharing it with people, and that is the value that you want to try to drive towards. Video works well. You gotta explain what video is to people. The best example for YouTube is Salman Khan, who created the Khan Academy, where all he did was he said, I have to teach my nieces how to do chemistry. He explained it, he made a simple video, he hosted it for them, they saw the video and they said, wow, this is easy. That's the type of thing. So when you are talking to your customer, you're just saying, hey, can I explain to you how stuff is done? And you take things further from there. So what I've done is, I have given you lots of detail on how you can extend YouTube, why you need to do a blog, which is basically a repository of content. It's not your personal journal, it's just how you store, index, and file information. That's what I consider to be important. Pinterest does a good job as far as pictures, etc. are concerned. I do caption contests where I ask my customers, I put up a picture and say, what would you say about this? And then I feature it for people. That makes a big difference. LinkedIn works well. However, I seriously believe that I am not going to, like a stranger, reach out to you on LinkedIn and say, connect with me. I would love for every one of you to now connect with me because we know each other. But the value add I had in yesterday's or this morning's presentation and now is I wrote an article. And my article is Make It a Sweet 16. Make it a sweet 2016. Best practices in marketing for the year 2016. That is my value proposition to you to connect with me. Think about what your brand can do for someone else to draw them in. You're not just saying like me on LinkedIn or connect with me on LinkedIn. Give them a reason to connect with you on LinkedIn. I see a lot of B2C stuff happening on LinkedIn. Men's clothing on LinkedIn. Why? Women's clothing on LinkedIn. You go to work, you like to wear something fashionable, you want to take advantage of that. People who have LinkedIn mostly have jobs. And if they have jobs, they're going to get a loan, to get a car, to get a home. LinkedIn is a great place for financial services to try and market to people. Again, it's people and how you nurture those people. I say there are 5 types of media. Owned media, what you own. Earned media, what people say about you. Paid media, which you advertise. Shared media, which is people say, hey, he did a good job, she did a good job. And integrated media, which is like, I want your media kit. In your traditional marketing, in publishing world, you have print, you have boxes, etc. That's what I mean by putting together a strategy to affect this type of media. I told you that when you look at it from a branding, search, social media, email, multimedia content, mobile, traditional marketing and testing, I'll show you real quickly some of the things that you need to think about. Branding. Your brand has to stand out. It has to look like a Starbucks or something that people can trust. What would you do for that to happen? When you click a link on this video, on this link, it'll actually take you to a brand story from British Airways, which I hope makes you cry. You will see how it evokes emotion because that's branding and empathy and what you want to try to drive towards. How are you found on search? Can you retrace your consumer journey? You came to web commerce today. Why did you come? Did you see an ad? Did somebody tell you? Can you create a backwards journey and then try to create that backwards journey to do a better job to see where you invest money in search? In social media, how do you want to represent your brand? Do you want to be passive? Do you want to be active? Or do you want to have a referral relationship where you are interacting with people? One big thing I learned on social media is it's like if you throw a ball and children start playing, don't be the one who grabs the ball and throws it back to the kids again and again. You need to learn how to facilitate a conversation. So if your customers are talking about stuff, that's beautiful, that's perfect. That's what you want to try and strive towards. As far as social media is concerned, yes, you're looking at all of this stuff. You've got to measure, monitor, and try to keep it as active as possible. So I talk about these channels, but there's 3 big things that are taking place. Preferences, trust, and technology. What do I mean by this? Geo-marketing is live and well. It's happening in many countries. You want to buy something. I had that anxiety. If I buy it, is it the right decision? Is my wife going to kill me? What's going to happen next? You want to reduce the anxiety as much as possible, which means they have Amazon-like comments, they have background, they have information like that they can publish, and they basically take next steps from there. As far as email is concerned, I want you to think about 2 types of emails. Number 1, want you to think about the forever message, which is, you sign up for email from my brand, and that first message I send to you, do I have all the right information that you will never delete that message? You will keep it forever. My store is here, my branch is here, these are my hours, etc. You want to keep that type of message, that this is who I am, so you're not going to lose it. So you give me a business card, I'm going to store your business card. It's the same way. The other thing I do is I assign utility points for a campaign. So what I do is, this lady went to the Content Marketing Institute. She went to classes there. When I look at my email and I say, okay, what am I going to put in this so my customer doesn't delete it? What will I do to make it useful? I write tips, reason, season, lifetime, because what I want to do is, I feel very bad when people delete my emails and they don't open it. I get hurt, my ego gets hurt. So I try to work my way backwards in terms of what can I do to drive that engagement. Think about multimedia content, which is text, image, and video, and realize, as you know, that the cost to deliver video and the technology to deliver video is becoming lesser and lesser out there. One of the things that I did with Wally is I went to a studio in Miami, Florida, and we started recording learning. Because honestly, you probably guessed it, I enjoy doing what I do. And I have the passion. And I feel there's so much I need to teach. So I teach a one-day class on email marketing. It's a 10-hour class. You're not going to sit through 10 hours of that. So what I told Wally is, I said, why don't we develop 45-minute to 1-hour videos, 10 chapters. People can come and take those 10 chapters. That type of stuff is taking place. So what we are doing is we are really creating multimedia content that is useful. And that is what you want to strive and do in your own environment. Mobile. This is what, when I took out my wallet, these are all the things that I have in my wallet. I have family pictures, I have gym card, I have discount cards, I have a fortune cookie, I have all kinds of stuff. I have a good luck charm, I have stuff like that in my wallet that I put out there. The thing is, what can I do to make life easier? In the next 5 years, you will see that digital payments is going to become a reality. You already know there's gift cards, etc. that are taking place. And what is happening, for example, is my daughter got a job this summer. She was tutoring English to Chinese students for a Filipino company from her home, from our home, over Skype. So she is teaching Chinese students English on Skype. And she said, I need to put the bank account so I can get paid. So what did I tell her right away? I said, no, you're not doing this to an international company. I'm not going to let you put the bank account. So what she has today, she's got a PayPal account. She's getting paid by PayPal every month. PayPal doesn't give her interest. It's not a bank account. However, PayPal gives her 20%. You know how she gets 20%? She gets 20% off coupons from American Eagle. She gets 20% coupons from Forever 21. No financial institution can do that type of stuff for her. But what they are doing is people who control the wallet are able to control preferences, and that is what you want to think about as you build a strategy for your consumer. Traditional marketing is not dead. Last week, this was making trends. I don't know if anybody has seen this picture. I found this picture online. It came out last week. A monkey picked up a piece of paper. I say this tongue in cheek. Those who abandon traditional marketing, you're going to be in, it still works. It's how do you make it work? However, in the land of traditional marketing, there's something called the Paul Harvey approach. Paul Harvey was an internationally acclaimed radio jockey. And he would tell you something, and he would tell you, come back and I will tell you the rest of the story. So you heard his ad, you wanted to find out what happened next. So you came back to listen to the rest of the story. When you write your social media content, you want to write it in a way that you say, okay, Sundeep, you told me there's 9 ways to tie a scarf. Can you show me how? You want that consumer to come in and basically tell you, which is this year's power color. So what is this year's power color for women? Does anybody know? It's carmine. What is carmine? Does anybody know what color that is? It's red. I'm not a woman, but yes, I wore carmine out here. But the reason is they're using something exotic because women want to find what is the power color. You're drawing them in. It's that principle of intrigue, and that's what makes this work. Testing works all the time. Buy or pie. You're basically trying to take next things and next steps there. You have to test every aspect of your campaign to make things more successful. Something else that I do very consistently now is when I come up with subject lines now or headlines, I don't come up with 1 or 2. I come up with 3, 4, or 5. And when I come up with 5, I use 2 to see which one performs the best. And the other 4, I will reuse. That if you were responsible to market these glasses, what content would you come up with? How would you talk to people about it? What all would you do? I would tell people it's going to be good for your back, because if you keep doing this, it starts hurting you. So you think about that. The other aspect is, there is also this company, they're a fitness club. Can you have a fitness club online? Sometimes you can, but fitness club is where you meet people and all of that stuff. This fitness club in my city, they did something different. They offered you 2 weeks free membership. And during those 2 weeks, they wanted you to come to every class. I wanted free membership for them. So I went and I talked to their employees. And I basically told them that even the fittest and the most beautiful and the handsome person has anxiety when they go to the gym. Because you're wondering and saying, what are they, have I put on weight? Am I looking right? And all of that stuff. I said, make people feel welcome. You make people feel welcome, they'll come back. Reduce the anxiety. So we went through an exercise and said, how can I digitally reduce the anxiety? So we started something called Move It or Lose It. We had the biggest people at our gym participate publicly on the Biggest Loser. And people are doing this, so more and more people are signing up. And that's what we are going to do. Enhancing your digital profiles, think about picture, infographic, short bio, long bio. What is your personal mission statement? And then you have to be selfish. For me, what can you do for that other person? You need to write that out. The other thing is, you need to make your personal profiles personal, professional, and aspirational. Because you want to be where you want to be. And that's what you want to try and strive towards. I am pretty much out of time. Okay? However, what I want you to do is, when you think about these lessons, apply the lessons to your brand, where you write up the answers to these questions. But I'll close with two final thoughts. One is, I have very close friends I met in London. I have this bad habit, I make friends with strangers, and I'm really good with that. And I met these two brothers in London. They own 3 restaurants in London. They do an excellent job. One day somebody came from Facebook and said he can get him 100,000 likes. My friend took him to his restaurant and he said, I have 44 chairs. He says, if I get 10,000 likes, or 100,000 likes, or even 5,000 likes, it's useless. I won't be able to take care of people. He wants people to come in, enjoy food, understand the food, and feel comfortable with that. When you're putting your brand strategy together, think about my friend's strategy. He now owns 5 restaurants in London. And I actually met this American woman out there, and I said, what's your name again? And he said, that's Madonna. And I said, Madonna as in Madonna? He says, yes, Madonna as in Madonna. He's done that. It's nonchalant, it's low-key, it's something that works. I've given you reasons, mistakes to avoid. I've given you proven content, success things, why it's important to stay consistent and active, the importance of reputation, reliability, and confidence. And as we close it out, storytelling, multimedia content, brand ambassadors, people who can talk about your brand. Practice good karma. It comes and bites you back if you're bad. And be transparent. Because if you try to hide stuff, you get exposed on social media, and you don't want to be in that situation. With that, I will simply tell you I've taken examples of what all is out there, but I leave you with my contact information. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I've really enjoyed talking to a lot of you. I'm looking forward to coming back, and I wish you sincerely the very best as far as your digital marketing initiatives are concerned. Muchísimas gracias.